There's something that happens to people over 50 when the world starts falling apart, and it's not what most people expect. They don't panic. They don't rush to social media to vent. They don't call everyone in their contact list looking for comfort. They go quiet, completely quiet. And here's what makes this so interesting. Most people around them think that silence means they don't care, that they're cold, that they've given up. But what if I told you that silence is actually the strongest thing they could possibly do? What if the people who say the least during a crisis are the ones carrying the most? Stay with me on this one, because what I'm about to explain will change the way you see every quiet person over 50 in your life. And it might even change the way you see yourself. See, the world teaches us that when something bad happens, you're supposed to react. You're supposed to talk about it, process it out loud, share your feelings, ask for help, and for a lot of people, that works. But for those who've been through real hardship, real loss, real betrayal, real moments where life broke them down to nothing, something different kicks in. They pull inward, they get still, and everyone around them misreads it. But here's the thing almost nobody talks about. That silence is not emptiness. It's not shut down. It's a system running at full capacity on the inside while the outside stays perfectly calm. And that system was built by decades of surviving things that would have crushed most people. Let me give you an example. Think about someone in your life who's over 50. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your mother, your father, a friend you've known for years. Now think about the last time something truly difficult happened. A serious health diagnosis, a financial disaster, the loss of someone they loved, a family crisis that felt impossible to fix. What did they do? They probably kept going, woke up the next morning, made coffee, got dressed, showed up. No dramatic breakdown, no long speech about how unfair life is, just movement, quiet, steady movement forward. And if you walked up to them and asked, "How are you doing?" they probably looked you straight in the eye and said, "I'm fine." Pay close attention to that, because that phrase, "I'm fine," coming from someone over 50, it doesn't mean what you think it means. It's not denial. It's not avoidance. It's a decision. A quiet, internal decision that says, "I've seen worse than this. I've survived worse than this. And I will survive this too." But there's a layer underneath this that goes even deeper. That strength didn't come from nowhere. It was built, piece by piece, year by year, scar by scar. Every time someone over 50 goes quiet during a crisis, they're pulling from a well of experience that younger generations simply don't have yet. They've buried people they loved more than anything in this world. They've watched friendships they thought were forever disappear overnight. They've been betrayed by people they trusted completely. They've had their plans destroyed and had to rebuild from nothing, not once, not twice, but sometimes 5 or 6 times. And each time they went through that, something inside them shifted. Not in a loud way, in a quiet way. They stopped needing the world to validate them. They stopped waiting for someone else to tell them they were strong enough. They just became strong, without announcing it, without performing it, without needing a single person to notice. Now there's a detail here that almost nobody catches. When someone over 50 goes silent during chaos, they're not freezing. They're filtering. They're separating what actually matters from what just feels urgent. Because here's something life teaches you after a certain age. Not everything that screams for your attention deserves it. A younger person might spend 4 hours talking about the problem, analyzing it, worrying about it, going back and forth in their head. Someone over 50 spends those same 4 hours solving it, not because they don't feel the weight. They feel it more than anyone. But they've learned something powerful, that feeling the weight and being crushed by the weight are two completely different things. And that lesson only comes from experience. You can't read it in a book. You can't learn it from a podcast. You have to live it. Now here's something that might surprise you. This silent strength, this quiet crisis response, is almost always misunderstood by the people closest to them. Their adult children think they're emotionally unavailable. Their partner thinks they're shutting them out. Their friends think they just don't feel things as deeply anymore. But the truth is the exact opposite. They feel everything, every bit of fear, every bit of uncertainty, every bit of pain. They just don't let it run the show, because they've learned that if they fall apart, everything around them falls apart too. The family, the household, the people who depend on them. So they hold, quietly, without complaining, without asking for credit. And this is more common than people think. Right now, right this moment, there are millions of people over 50 around the world carrying weight that nobody sees, handling pressure that nobody acknowledges, making impossible decisions that nobody will ever thank them for, keeping their composure in situations that would break someone half their age. And they're doing all of it in complete silence, not because they want praise, not because they're trying to be heroes, but because after 50 years of life, that's simply who they've become. Now pay very close attention to what comes next, because behind this behavior, there's a psychological pattern that changes the way you understand everything. People who respond to crisis with silence aren't just being tough. They're not just putting on a brave face. They're actually operating from a completely different emotional system than most people. Here's what I mean. When you're younger, your brain processes a crisis as a brand new threat, something unknown, something dangerous. And the natural response is to look outward, to seek reassurance, seek guidance, seek someone who tells you it's going to be okay. But after decades of living through hard things, something fundamental changes in the brain. It starts recognizing patterns. It starts saying, I've been here before. Not exactly like this, but close enough. I know what happens next. I know what works and what doesn't. I know what's worth my energy and what isn't. And instead of panic, something else takes over. Calm. But not the kind of calm that comes from ignorance. Not the kind that comes from not understanding how serious things are. This is a different kind of calm. The kind that only shows up in people who've already survived the worst day of their life and woke up the next morning anyway. That's what most people don't understand about the quiet ones. They're not ignoring the storm. They've just learned how to stand inside it without being destroyed. They've learned that chaos is temporary, that panic doesn't solve anything, that the steadiest hand in the room is the one that's been shaking the longest, and finally learned to be still. And here's why this matters right now more than ever. Because the world is getting louder every single day. Everything is urgent. Everything is breaking news. Everything demands an immediate emotional reaction. People are outraged on Monday, terrified on Tuesday, heartbroken on Wednesday, and it starts all over again the next week. And in the middle of all that noise, there are people over 50 sitting quietly, watching, observing, thinking, not because they're disconnected from reality, but because they've learned that reacting to everything means you're in control of nothing. Some things don't need a reaction. Some things just need time. Some things just need someone who's lived long enough to know that this too, whatever this is, will eventually pass. And if you're watching this and recognizing yourself in what I'm describing, I want you to hear something very clearly. Your silence is not a flaw. It's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's the result of every single thing you've survived up to this moment. Every heartbreak that didn't kill you. Every failure that taught you something nobody could explain with words. Every night you stayed awake carrying something too heavy to share. Every morning you got up anyway when everything inside you wanted to stay down. All of that, every single piece of it, built something inside you that cannot be taught in any classroom. It can only be forged by living. And here's something you probably don't hear enough. The people around you. Your children, your partner, your friends, even if they don't say it, even if they don't fully understand it, they feel it. They feel your steadiness when the ground is shaking. They feel your calm when everyone else is losing control. They feel your presence, that quiet, unshakable presence, and even though they can't name it, they rely on it more than you will ever know. You are the anchor they don't realize they need until the storm actually hits. So the next time someone tells you you're too quiet, or too calm, or too unbothered, remember what that really means. It means you've reached a level of emotional depth that most people haven't gotten to yet. It means you've been tested in ways they haven't been tested, and you're still here, still standing, still quiet, still strong. That is not something to fix. That is something to deeply respect. If this made you see yourself differently today, or if it made you think of someone you love, tap the like button right now. And if you're not subscribed yet, join us. There's a lot more coming, and I want to hear from you. Are you the one who goes quiet when everything falls apart? Or do you know someone who does this? Leave a comment. Tell me your story, because I read every single one. Now, before you go, there's something connected to this silence that almost nobody talks about. A behavior that develops after years, sometimes decades, of being the one who holds everything together. And when you finally understand what it is, it will explain things about yourself that you've been wondering about for your entire adult life. That's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video. You don't want to miss it.